There's a version of you that stopped asking for help, and you don't even remember when it happened. You just stopped. Stopped expecting people to show up. Stopped voicing the thing that hurt. Stopped letting the silence feel like anything at all. And on the outside, you looked fine. Better than fine, actually. Calm. Composed. Unbothered. But that calm wasn't peace. It was something else entirely. Here's what most people get wrong. They think emotional distance is a personality trait, a coldness you were born with, a character flaw. Psychology says something far more unsettling. It's not a flaw at all. It's a feature. A brilliant, adaptive, deeply human response to a very specific kind of pain. The pain of suffering too much for too long with too little relief. Once you understand what that pain does to a person, you'll never look at a distant person the same way again. Picture a child, 8 years old. Home isn't always dramatic or loud, but it's consistently unpredictable. Some days love flows freely. Other days that same love disappears, snaps, or simply goes absent. That child learned something. Not in a classroom. In the body. In 1,000 tiny moments of reaching out and finding nothing there. They learn. Needing people is dangerous. So they adapt. They begin to self-contain. Stop crying where anyone can see. Start solving problems alone. Get very, very good at seeming okay. And decades later, they sit across from someone who loves them and feel nothing when that person offers comfort. Not because they're broken, because they learned at a cellular level not to need it. Psychologists call this learned self-sufficiency. And it sits right at the intersection of attachment theory and emotional numbing. When pain arrives repeatedly with no relief, the brain begins to reroute. It quietly severs the connection between vulnerability and expectation. Not to punish you, to protect you. This is called defensive detachment. And it becomes unconscious so fast, most people never catch it forming. Loneliness starts to feel like preference. Isolation starts to feel like strength. The absence of connection, which once felt like loss, starts to feel like safety. Here's the part that should stop you cold. The person who says, "I don't need anyone," isn't stronger than you. They were just hurt early enough and often enough that needing became too expensive a luxury to keep. What makes it so hard to undo? The strategy works. It genuinely reduces pain. So the brain reinforces it until self-sufficiency stops being a choice and becomes an identity. But here's where it gets more uncomfortable. This isn't only about people with visibly hard childhoods. Suffering compounds quietly. A sensitive person in an emotionally dismissive home. A teenager who asked for help once and was told to toughen up. An adult who loved without reservation was left without warning and never fully came back from it. The threshold is different for everyone, but the behavior on the other side looks remarkably the same. They become hyper-competent. They solve problems before asking for help. They minimize their own pain, sometimes to the point of not registering it at all. They hold everyone, even the people they love most, at a distance they'd never openly admit to. They're not cold. They're fluent in a language suffering taught them, and that language has no word for let someone in. And the cruelest part? The people around them often read the distance as arrogance, as not caring, when underneath it is someone who cared so deeply and received so little back that the caring itself became the thing they had to guard against. Most people who carry this pattern are the last to recognize it in themselves. They've lived inside the armor so long, they've forgotten its armor. It just feels like who they are. Capable. Independent. Fine. The moment someone gets close enough to offer something real, something in them flinches, retreats, finds a reason to pull back, not because they don't want connection, because somewhere in their history, connection taught them to brace for impact. The pattern isn't a wall keeping people out. It's scar tissue that hardened over something never fully allowed to heal. And scar tissue doesn't know when the danger has passed. It just keeps doing its job, standing guard over a wound that formed long before the person in front of them ever arrived. And scars don't mean damage. They mean the wound was real, and the person was strong enough to survive it.